Looks like we got a few people, at least, 11 people on there. That's more than I expected. That's nice turnout. Hopefully you can hear me. If somebody's got the chat, you should be able to post in either the YouTube or Twitch chat, and it should come through here. So if someone wants to confirm you can hear me, that would be great. Okay, so we got, yes, audio is good. All right, let me try this thing right here. Real quick. Oh, yeah, I can put like chat messages up. Cool. Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, so let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Wayne Aker. My name is Wayne Aker. I run DrupalTutor.com. I'm a longtime Drupal developer. I've been developing Drupal since 2006, and full-time Drupal pretty much since 2009. And yeah, so starting in 2013, I built DrupalTutor.com to start doing training classes for people on the internet. And it's been, what, 8 years now? Or no, 9 years now. So, and still going. So, yeah, I think most of the people on this live stream are probably former students. But these will be recorded, and hopefully we'll get some new people over time. So, yeah. So that's me. That's who I am. That's why you should listen to me. So on this live stream, what we are going to do is I am going to be building a new version of DrupalTutor.com, which is a Drupal website that I use to deliver the training courses. And so, so you're going to get to watch me do this. Now, this is going to be a little different because several of you have taken my courses before. I do want to let you know that this is going to be different than the courses. Like in the courses, I have everything scripted out. Everything's like, like boom, 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 boom. Exactly. I've got everything pre-written. Everything's really easy. Sorry, I'm getting a little fogged up here. But that's not how it's going to be on this live stream. On the live stream, it's just me actually doing the work. So I do have a plan. Like I know sort of what we're going to be doing. But you're going to be seeing me do it like I'm building a real site. Like you hired me and this is to build your website. This is what I would do. That's how you're going to see it. So you're going to see me making mistakes. You're going to see me having to redo things. You're going to see me going to Stack Overflow and Drupal.org and trying to, because I don't know the command to run in Drush or something like that. You're going to see all that. So it's going to be a lot more scattered than the training courses are. So I just want to let people know about that. So if you're looking at this as an example of what my training courses might be like, understand that the training courses are much better scripted and much tighter than what you're going to see in this live stream. And yeah. So, last thing, if you haven't signed up for the email updates, if you go to DrupalTutor.com/live, then you can sign up for email updates. I plan to be doing these every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And we'll probably go like 60 to 90 minutes, depending on when we get to a good stopping point. And so if you sign up here, I'll send you an email each week, tell you what we're going to be working on so that, you have, you can decide whether or not you want to tune into that or not. All right. So you can sign up there. And yeah, so let's talk about the project. And I should say, if several of you have already put in comments. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, you should be able to type comments and they come through here to my software that I'm using. So if you have questions as we go along, you can feel free to type in there. That's one of the advantages to watching it live versus watching the recording as you have a chance to ask questions. Okay, so let's talk about this project. So like I said, this project is to rebuild DrupalTutor.com. DrupalTutor.com has several major features that we will need to replicate in the new version. So it's a learning management system. It has courses, it has course sessions, has lessons that are built up of videos. So it has all that sort of educational content that has to be organized, and then it needs to be delivered in a particular way, like so students can register for this course at this time, and then they get access to it at that time. And there's several pieces to that too, like there are drip email messages that go out. I know a lot of you are former students of DrupalTutor.com, so you get those like weekly emails. That's actually all built into the website. That's custom software. So we will be rebuilding that in the new version as well. It's a e-commerce website, right? Because you got to pay for the courses. So we got Drupal Commerce in there. And then, of course, it's just a standard website as well, like just content. I don't have a lot of content right now that's like I don't have a lot of blog posts and things. I used to. And so I do have some blog posts that are like they're in the system. And like if you know the URL, you can get to them. But I don't have like a blog listed on the site. They get some SEO hits, so I plan on keeping them around, even if I'm not actively adding things to the blog. I mean, now that I'm doing this live session, I may revive the blog and at least like post every week the recording or something. So we're going to keep that kind of blog functionality. But in addition, I need to be able to build just like pages. I mean, there's the course description pages, but then there's also like landing pages that I tie to Google AdWords or something. And so I need a pretty robust page builder, let's say. I would like one. Let's say I don't need it, but I would like one. And other than that, the site actually is currently Drupal 9. I recently upgraded it from Drupal 8 to Drupal 9. So there's no real rush in doing this upgrade. And if I wasn't doing this live stream, I would probably not be doing this project right this minute. I wouldn't be starting it right now. It started like later in the year after Drupal 10 comes out. But if we're only going to work like 60 to 90 minutes a week, it's going to take a long time to get there. So I figure, I think this live stream will be fun. I think it'll be good to do and put it out there. So it's going to take a lot of weeks. So we might as well go ahead and get started. We'll start with Drupal 9 because that's what's out. But Drupal 10 is supposed to come out like in June or something. We will not be launched by June, I don't expect. So probably we will upgrade to Drupal 10 as part of that. In addition, I will make sure that any custom code that we write, which we will be writing there's a lot of custom code in the current system that's going to need to be brought into the new one. I'll also be making sure that everything is compatible with Drupal 10, like it obeys all of the deprecations or removes all the deprecated code and stuff that might currently work on Drupal 9 but will not work on Drupal 10. So we'll be doing all that. The overall goals for the site, given that it's not really an emergency that I built it right now, one is to make it simpler to use. I mean, I think it's pretty simple to use for students, for people taking the course. I spent a lot of time trying to optimize that, but it's not easy to use for me because I'm the only one who uses it. And I'm a Drupal developer, so it's like all inline entity form. The forms are like monsters. It's also got a lot of old cruft because there's a lot of stuff in there that I used to do things a different way, and now I'm doing them a different way than I'm doing them now. And so there's old stuff, old fields and things in there that I don't need anymore. So I'd like to clean all that out, sort of start over with only what I'm going to do, with only what I actually use or what I need, and try to simplify down some of those forms for me. Maybe automate some things which are currently not automated. As far as like making new sessions and things like that. The other major task I would say is I would like, one will be we're going to get a new design. I haven't figured out exactly what that design is going to be yet, but at some point I will be choosing like some template or some other, it won't be a Drupal theme almost surely because there's very few Drupal themes that are frankly any good. I mean, sorry if there's Drupal themers on here, but I'm talking about like the ones that are out there. There's only a handful that you can buy or something that are kind of good. Most of them are not so great as compared to like WordPress, where there's a lot of them that are good. So probably it'll be like an HTML theme, and we will have to build the Drupal theme. That's what I expect to do. So we'll be doing that at some point. And then the other thing that I want to do is try to make the software less Drupal specific, because I've only ever done Drupal trainings on this. I mean, I have some PHP, but it's always in the context of Drupal. So there's a lot of stuff in there, like what Drupal version is this course compatible with and stuff. It's all like really kind of hard. All the data and categorizations all really coded to Drupal. I want to open that up because I have some idea that maybe I would like to have like a second site where I would just do PHP training that would not be Drupal specific. Because maybe people would like to take Drupal PHP training, but not from a site called DrupalTutor.com. If they're not really doing Drupal, they might not think that's the best place for them. So I'd like to be able to make a copy of it or have like multi-site or something where I might run a different site over there for PHP. And so I want this software to work on both in a more generic way. So those are sort of the overall goals for this project. And so I did spend some time. I'm going to try to do as much as possible about the build and the whole process on this live session. But I did spend some time ahead of time. And let me switch here to my desktop view. Oops. I did spend some time creating a technical specification document. So this is a document that I would normally make for like a client project. We would need to, when we're sort of planning it out before we do any sort of build, before we start any sort of coding or even just building the content types and stuff. What this does is usually this is paired with a functional specification document, which is like a long written out specification of what the website will do and what all the features are. I didn't write that because that's really for this project because it's really time consuming and I'm the only reader for that. So I know what I want. So the functional specification is here in my head, but the technical specification I did write down because I had to go through all the content types on the current site and think about how if I wanted to keep them in the same way, switch them from one entity type to another. Because there's a lot of things that either didn't used to exist before and now it exists now. There's a lot of better ways to do things than when I first built it. And so I've been sort of carrying these not best practices along because there was no choice when I first built it. And so this is a chance to sort of rethink all that. And so I've written that all down in this TSD, the technical specification document here. So just in case some of you may not have seen a document quite like this before, I've got it here in Excel, and every tab is a different content type or entity bundle. So like, for example, what we're looking at here on the screen is the node entity type for blog. And it lists out like all of the fields that are going to be on that content type. And it talks about, what's the field type going to be? What's the machine name going to be? Is it one or many? Cardinality? Is it required? What's the widget going to be? It's just sort of thinking through all that stuff. And then also we have, because there's going to be enough stuff here changing that I think I'm going to build this as a separate site and then migrate data into it because there's a lot of stuff I just kind of want to leave behind. And so this also has a migration part that talks about what was the old field on the current site, and then so that you can then migrate it in. Now, a document like this is great to start off with because, typically I often work on my own, but if I had a junior programmer working with me or something, I could hand this document to them and say, hey, go make all these content types. And they could do that because pretty much everything is specified here. They could go through and do all the sort of click monkey stuff you have to do in Drupal to make 15 content types or whatever with 20 fields each or whatever it is here. All right. So I'm not going to go through this because that would be super boring in detail, but we will be referring to this as we go through. Because as we build the content types, I'm going to be reading this and figuring it out. All right. And we'll be working in the DrupalTutor Dev Stack. So for those of you who don't know, if you take a course at DrupalTutor.com, I have an online development environment that I have created for running your example code or following along with the lessons. That it runs in the browser. And so that's what you're seeing here. And in a minute, you'll see that we have it's actually got a built-in IDE, which is Visual Studio Code. At least for today and maybe the first couple of days, I think we probably will use the built-in IDE. At some point, when we get into heavy writing of the custom code, I may switch to using PHP Storm, but we'll continue to use this development environment online to actually, to run the code, and we'll use it for debugging and whatnot. All right. So any questions before we begin? All right, so our first task is we need to build the first initial project. Like you'll see, there's nothing. I've got literally nothing here. We're starting from scratch. So, there is one question: what streaming software am I using? This is Ecamm Live. It's not as cool and open source as OBS, but it costs money. But it is pretty awesome. Really easy to use, runs on my Mac. I mean, my Mac's fan is out of control right now, but it's running pretty smoothly, and it's streaming 4K, so that's pretty good. Okay, so our first task will be to we got to build the initial Drupal. We got to install Drupal. So we're going to use Composer because that's certainly a best practice to install Drupal with Composer at this point. So I never remember the command off the top of my head. So I always just Google Drupal Composer, and you can see it's been a previously clicked link. So yeah. So here's the line that we need. So we need to run, let me see, I might be able to blow this up a little bit so it's easier to see on the stream. Okay. Composer, create project, Drupal project, and let's see, what do I want to call this? Call it DT Web or DrupalTutor website. Yeah, this is a new annoying thing with Composer where Composer 2, it's just the most recent version. If you have any plugins, you have to say yes, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. I mean, I'm sure it's a good security practice, but it's kind of annoying. Especially if you work on these sort of more ephemeral development environments like this one I'm using here. It's constantly asking me. Okay, so I downloaded the project. If I refresh here, we now have a directory here. Blow this up again. Okay, so let's install Drupal. We'll do a minimal because I don't want to have to pull out all of the standard stuff. This is going to make it look really bare until we get a theme going, but this is what I would do normally. Okay, we got to create a database. So the dev stack has PHP my admin built in. So I'll create a database called DTWeb. And these development environments are just root for the password. And I'll put in a password. I guess admin's sort of a bad username to use. Not that I would, it is going to change when it goes in production, but I'll I'll use DT admin or something, make it slightly less hard for, or more hard for a bot to guess. Okay. All right, and we're logged in. Now, since we chose minimal, it's super minimal. So we might want to enable a few extra things that will be less minimal, like the toolbar and stuff. So let's just look through here. We're going to need config. Probably end up needing custom block. Definitely custom menu links. We're going to need field UI because we're going to be adding fields here in a bit to content types. We might as well go ahead and turn on help. Okay, I am going to use media and media library. That's actually one of the things that, one of the big changes that we're going to be making from the current to the new one is media and the media library were not in Drupal core, or not stable in Drupal core when I built the Drupal 8 version of the current site. So I currently use nodes to store the videos for the courses. So moving that to media and media library is one of the key things that I want to do. So we're definitely going to use those. We'll need path. We will be using taxonomy. We'll need text editor, toolbar, the views. Let's see. Will we need workflows? Oh, I am going to switch workflows too. So that's another thing, another big thing. Workflow module was also not stable when I first built the Drupal 8 version of DrupalTutor.com. So I have a lot of status fields that are just sort of like list text or something, like they're just my own numbers or whatever. And so those should probably use, because it's like for a course, it can be like pending, it's a current course, it's an archived course. That's would probably fit better with workflows. That just module just didn't exist or wasn't stable at the time when I did it. So I'm going to do it that way. And let's see. We're going to need date times. I don't know if we're going to need date time range. I'll leave it off for now because I'm not 100% sure we're going to need the range. We're going to be using something else instead. Like the courses do have like a range, like they have a start and end date, but I don't use end dates for that. I use a module, a field type called interval, which allows you to say like 29 days. This course is 29 days long. And so then you can add that interval onto the start date. This allows me to, like, when somebody asks like, hey, can I have like an extra 2 weeks? I can go into their registration and like give them extra time. Or I can start them early. That's the other thing. I can start them early and all sorts of things. So I prefer to do it with the interval. So we're not going to do date time range, at least initially, unless we come across something. Image, link, we're probably going to need, actually, I don't think I need telephone. I don't know. We probably will eventually use it in the migrate, but I'm going to leave it off for now. I'm not going to do anything with multilingual. And we will need some JSON stuff, although I don't know that we're going to have sort of a generic like JSON API. So I think we can leave those off. Okay, hopefully that's not too many modules to enable at once. One issue with the DrupalTutor Dev Stack is if it takes too long, there is like it's sitting behind a proxy server, so it can time out. But it looks like it worked. Okay, the other thing I should do is probably get the like a better administration theme at least. So we'll use the new one, Claro. It's all right. I've also used Gin, which is like an extension of Claro. We'll go with Claro for a while and see if it seems too annoying. Then maybe I'll install Gin. Yeah, and so we will see the administration theme. We'll set it to Claro, although it's actually that's the only theme installed. So even the front end is probably Claro right now, which is fine at the moment. Okay, so next, I think what I'd like to do is install some modules that I use on every project, just development type modules or common things that we're going to need for sure that I know we'll need. So let's go back here. We were using the terminal, and we could do this here in the terminal, but I'm going to bring up the code editor just to show you that. This is the IDE that I talked about that's built into the web-based IDE that's built into the DrupalTutor Dev Stack. Because we can edit our code here, and we can also run terminal commands as well. So let's see, what do I want to install? Well, one thing that we're going to need is the devel module. So, and because we built this with Composer, we've got to include all the modules with Composer. So Composer require Drupal devel. All right, and now the devel module allows you to like dump out information, which is useful when you're coding to like examine the structure of some object that you have or whatever. You could also use the debugger built in here, but sometimes it's faster to just dump it out and dig through it. The nicest system that it has for that is called Kent. Now, with the current version of Devel, with the new version for Drupal 9, you cannot. It does not include Kent. So, like, if we go in here and enable Devel, and then go to configuration, Devel settings. Let's see. Down here, the variables dumper, we have the option for the default, which is awful because it just dumps everything in this giant block. Like literally, I mean, it's like doing a print R. It's just like huge, fills the screen. You can't tell any of the hierarchy or anything. It's really awful. So almost no one would want to use that. Like, actually, I think I can show it. I think if I check this and save, yeah. Oh, hey, it shows the hierarchy, at least in this theme. Most of the time, at least on the front end theme, it usually wouldn't have the hierarchy there. Like, it would just be all like one line. But at least the hierarchy here. So actually, this is better. This is better than it used to be. I don't know if this is Claro that's fixing this or what, but this is much better than it used to be. But better than that, I think, is the Symfony var dumper. This is like option 2. Symfony var dumper is nice because at least it allows you to expand things similar to Kent. However, so you can pop in here and see what you want. This still isn't as good as Kent though. So let's install Kent. The one downside is you can, as far as I can know, you can't use Kent if you don't install Drupal with Composer. So because you have to install Kent with Composer. So I think you're just stuck I think you just have to think Symfony var dumper is the best you can do if you're not using Composer. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I think. Okay, so Composer require, if we want Kent, it's actually not a Drupal module. It's just its own library. So it's Kent/Kent PHP, I think. Or not. Is it Kent PHP? Kent? Maybe I got it backwards. Yeah, okay, I had it backwards. It's Kent PHP Kent. Okay, so that's part of our project now. Now, I can't remember if that is enough. No. So there is a develcant. Do I have to install develcant? No, that's not the right module. Is it develcant extras? I don't know. Let me just double check. Let me clear caches first and make sure, because I didn't think you had to install anything else to do this, but. Oh, yeah. Okay. I just had to clear cache. So now that I clear cache, Kent is here. So it's a little bit nicer. Now, this doesn't have all the features. And actually, I think that's what this module does. So this Kent could potentially show you like methods of objects and things like that. And I think that in its default, it doesn't do that. You need this module if you want to show that extra information that it used to show. So let's go ahead and add this. This is a Drupal module. So oh, apparently we require a specific, okay, so here's some composer troubleshooting. So apparently this module only works with the previous version of Kent. So we have to back up and switch to version 3 of Kent instead of version 4, I think. So I'm going to go back. If I composer require Kent and then tell it _3, it should downgrade me from 4.1.1 to 3. Let's make sure that doesn't break this. Looks like we're still good here. Okay, so all right, so install that, so let's enable it. Okay, I don't know if it'll show anything different here because this is just an array. Yeah, if we had dumped out an object or something, then I think it would show that. You would see the extra information, but I'm sure at some point we'll be doing that. So I'm going to turn off that. Oh wait, there was a setting here. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Can't extend it. Okay, I have to choose can't extend it apparently to get that extra stuff. Okay, so that's devel. The other things, let's see, development wise that we will need, we're going to eventually be using config split. I don't know that I would necessarily always add it right now, but I can. Maybe I'll, well, yeah, maybe I'll do it. Okay. Okay, so config split. So we're going to export the configuration from this site, and we're going to be checking it into a Git repository eventually. Certain things like devel should not be enabled on production. There may be other settings that shouldn't, or other modules that shouldn't be enabled on production as well. Config split allows you to break those out and only run those things in development environment versus the production environment. It allows you to automatically sort of enable them only in dev. So one thing I do need to check on config split, I need to check the version because, yeah, the currently stable version, the 1.7 version, does not work with the permissions, I think. There was some kind of PSA put out about this with like the last version of Drupal 9. they changed something about how permissions go into configuration. And so you have to use the 2x series in order for that to work. So config split greater than 2. I think that'll do it. Oh, okay. Minimum stability. So I think by default, because that's not a stable module. Yeah. So in Composer, by default, it's in the Composer project, it's got minimum stability stable. That was an alpha version, so it's not going to let me install it unless I change that to dev. Okay. I guess this version doesn't use config filter anymore. I thought there was like some other module I usually had to install, but I don't see it. Let's see if it enables. I've never used the 2x version, so. Okay, well, it enabled. Let's see. So configuration split settings. Okay, so the way this works is we have to create a split. So the split in this case would be like dev or development, which maybe I'll just call dev for the machine name. And let's see, we have to give it a folder. And actually we haven't, I should probably just make sure that the regular exporting works here first. So drush cex to write the current configuration out. Oh no, I need to put the, okay, that's not where I want it. So by default, it puts it down in like site's default files in some random thing, which is not what I want. So I want to create a config folder at the top level. So here, the web folder is the web accessible version folder of this Drupal site. Anything above that would not be web accessible. That's where I want the config folder to be. So I'll create a new config folder. And then I think I need to go into settings PHP. And I think somewhere in here, yeah, I have to change this to I think that's right, because I think it's relative to the web folder. So let's see if it works here. Let's export again, see if it works. Okay, yes. So the config files are in there. All right, so config, regular config exported works. So we'll go back, and so this is relative to the Drupal. So I need like config splits dev. I think that's how I usually do it. And it shouldn't be active. And the reason it shouldn't be active just because you're supposed to activate it in your settings.php file or your settings.local PHP file. So it shouldn't be checked active. And then in here, we can say that, let's just start by saying these two modules should be completely split off and nothing else. Okay, it says I need to make the folder. Okay, so now I need to make this active. So I need to create a settings.local file. Oh, okay, hold on. I got to change the file permissions because Drupal's locked it down because I haven't turned off. That's another thing I need to do. I should turn off, I got to disable all that other stuff as well. All the way it locks down the permissions there. So let me just manually do it first. Okay. Okay, so now the settings local file is there. And can't remember the exact syntax here. Doesn't tell me in here, does it? Oh yeah, it does. Right here. Okay. So, except I don't like double quotes. I only like single quotes in here. Okay. So let's clear caches. And I think if I export it now, okay, so the only configuration it's exporting is the actual split itself, which I think is correct. And then if I, there's drush C SEX, which should export the one. That's for exporting. Oh, is that not the right command? All right. I don't know. There should be a command. I thought it was drush C SEX to export a config split. But I don't see it. Maybe something changed in the 2x version. It's weird. It still says it's inactive as well. No, I'm really dumb. I haven't included the settings local file. Okay, it's something stupid. Okay, so I just have to go in here, and remove this because I haven't actually told it to include settings local, so therefore it's not putting me in the. So if I clear cache now, is it there? I mean, I don't know why that should change the drush commands, but at the very least, let's see if that at least shows it as active. So it shows it as active. I'll have to see what the. So I see the comment there about that I should clear the drush cache. Does drush CR not do that? Is that not enough? I thought that would clear all of the caches, including drush. Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down in it because we don't necessarily need this right away, but we've set it up and I'll try to figure out why that's. let's see if there's another thing here. Cache something. I mean, I don't think, yeah, I know you can't use CC Drush, can you? Oh, you can. Okay. So is it there now? No. Okay. So I'm guessing something changed in the 2x version. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out. I'll figure out why that is. But like I said, we don't really need this right now, so I don't want to get bogged down in it. All right. So we've got configuration. Okay, so we got the bell set up. We got the configuration split set up. Theoretically, though not 100% working. And I mean, it's also possible that is an alpha. Maybe this version doesn't totally work yet. Not a big deal that we can't disable develop production because we're not going to be in production for months. So let's go on and install. Let's see. So some other modules that we will need. So one thing is admin toolbar, because right now we don't have the, we don't have the drop downs here. So let's get that. Actually, I might want to do this one manually because I can't remember. They used to have an extras that was a separate module. So, so I just want to check if there's more than one module to install here. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. I think those two are enough. I don't need to search. Hi, Joseph. I see your comment. Oh, wait, I can click on it. Wait. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can't read it all because my head's in the way. Sorry. I got to work on that. Okay, but this also mod completions. Does the DrupalTutor Dev, the dev environment support Copilot? I actually don't know what Copilot is. So no, it does. I have pre-installed a bunch of Drupal templates and stuff in there. So like you can type like hook underscore whatever the hook is, and it will sort of auto complete out all of the parameters and stuff for you. So I have some stuff built in. I do have some stuff in there for Drupal, but it's not Copilot. I don't know what that is. Okay, so we should have. Oh, GitHub Copilot. Yeah. I don't know if that works on this version of. I do know what that is. Now that you said, tell me this the GitHub thing. I don't know if it works in this version of VS Code. This is actually a fork. It's CDR coder code server. VS Code in the browser. It's like an open source fork of the Visual Studio Code that's designed to run in a browser. So it supports many of but plugins is a gray area. Not necessarily every plugin works, and they have their own plugin directory, I guess you'd say, because I guess there's some licensing issue, like linking directly to the Microsoft one. So though I think you can override it and tell it to go to the Microsoft one, so you might not find Copilot and stuff in there, but you can give it a try and see. But I'll take a look. But yeah. But this is what I'm using. It's not actually Visual Studio. It's a slightly modified version of it. Okay. So, all right. So we got admin toolbar. What else do I need? So the first things that I was going to work on would probably be in, we're getting close to the end of the hour. I might do just a little bit here. Is building out maybe like a couple of the content types. I'm going to use paragraphs for most of my content types. That's not how it is currently. Well, actually, currently on the site, there's some of the content types use paragraphs and some of them don't. And some of them use Layout Builder, like the landing pages that I use for Google AdWords use Layout Builder. But I'm really impressed by Layout Paragraphs, which is a relatively new project from the last year or so. And so that's what I want to use here. So we're going to need paragraphs and layout paragraphs. So because I want to, build everything up from that, even simple things, I'm just going to have it be like a single paragraph with text. So we can go ahead and install those. So, not Drush. So if I install layout paragraphs, theoretically, it's going to install paragraphs as well. Okay. And I think layout paragraphs has like a lot of submodules potentially. So let me go in here and check. Maybe not. This is interesting. I don't think I've seen paragraphs library before, but reusable paragraphs. Actually, I did have something I was gonna. Yeah, I had something I was thinking about using for that, but I think I can use media instead. So I think it'll be all right. I don't know that we need that. All right. Okay, so let's let's start building from the TSD. I know there's some other modules I thought about installing. Like I know we're going to install meta tags and some other things, but let's just start building this out, and then we'll, as we come across things, we'll do it. So, all right. So I'm going to start with the blog content type just because it's easy. Like I said, I don't really blog on the site, but there are blog posts up there that I need to maintain. So it looks like I've decided I'm just going to have a paragraphs field for the content here, and and that's pretty much it. And then we'll have, and then I do have in this TSD, I do have paragraph types specified. So for example, and I know that this Excel's sort of annoying because you have to like zoom, unless it's like you have to zoom like every tab separately. So paragraph text. Okay, so I have all my paragraph types down here. So I have like a text paragraph that's just like, block of text, WYSIWYG text, paragraph media, text plus media, things for page headers and for testimonials and like logo strips, like all of these like great big companies love DrupalTutor, that kind of thing. It's going to be this one. And, but yeah, so we'll end up needing that. I mean, I think most of the blog posts as they currently are just basically in a WYSIWYG block. So they'll probably be a single paragraph of type text, and then I'll just migrate the content into that spot. But let's, so let's start building this out. Okay, so there's a question. And again, I will try to click it, but I think maybe I can move it up. Oh yeah, there we go. Now it doesn't hit my head. Okay, so a question. I remember building sites and paragraphs layout as layout builder, and it was quite slow for bigger pages. I don't know. Do you mean it was slow to build them, or slow like performance wise on the website? Because the old user interface was quite tedious. I mean, that's definitely true. Like sort of sliding the things open and stuff, and so users don't usually like it. So I don't know if that's what you mean for sort of like slow for bigger pages or performance. I mean, it's true performance wise. I mean, paragraphs are another entity. They are stored in the database. They have to be loaded sort of independently and put together to build the page. So there's definitely going to be some performance hit over big block of text. But I guess it depends on your use case, because like if the caching on a Drupal site, if people are not logged, especially if they're not logged in, the caching is like really excellent. And even now when people are logged in, the caching is excellent because it can cache like parts of the page without caching the whole thing, even for logged in users. So if there's some performance hit on the initial load, I feel like the new caching system would really make it, I'm not gonna say it's moot, but it's like, it would not be as bad as it used to be like in Drupal 7, where if somebody was logged in and looking one, it might be rendering it every time, like loading, 10 paragraphs, 10 entities plus the node entity and putting it all together. Okay. So he clarified that he meant slow as an editor. So again, that's actually, so the paragraphs interface is still, if you just use paragraphs, is still kind of the same as it used to be, but that's what layout paragraphs is different. Layout paragraphs brings kind of a layout builder style interface to paragraphs. So I'm going to enable it here at some point. And so maybe we can see it right now. Okay. So let's add a new content type. Content type will be called blog. Title. I'm not going to fill in the help text because it's really just going to be me who's reading this. I don't know if I want that on, but we'll leave it on for now. We don't need promoted to the front page. I'll leave create a new revision checked. Oh, that's checked by default now too. I don't know when Drupal changed that, but there's probably a lot of people with huge databases now since those are checked by default. Okay, and I don't really need to put blog post ever in a menu, so I'll just take that off. Okay, so it's got the body field. I don't want the body field because I'm going to use paragraphs. So I'll delete that. Okay, so I need a paragraph type field. And we'll look at the TSD. I'll call it content. What did I say? It was going to be, although it's going to be called field paragraphs. Okay. It's fine. I think that's what I called it before, maybe. So I wanted to keep it that way. Is that, yeah. So it's over here on the side in the, I'm migrating from that field. So I'm just keeping it the same because I don't think it really matters, the machine name. Yep. Paragraphs, unlimited number of values. Should be a required field. Currently, we don't have any paragraph types. Is it going to let me save without one? Yes. Okay. So we need to go create a paragraph type now, just because we're probably not going to be able to do the next steps without one. So let's just create the simple text one for now. Okay, so a text paragraph is just going to have, yeah, so it's going to have title and text. I have these options down here. In the past, when I've used paragraphs, I often will create like formatting options because a lot of times people are building up a page with them, and they have like and they want to like have this stripe be a certain color with a certain, and then have like borders on it or not borders, and sort of stagger them and put them together. And so I usually have something like these formatting options on like a sub tab of the paragraph that you can go in and manipulate if you want to change the style. I think that I got to look back. There was a presentation I saw on layout paragraphs, and they had a different module, like a style options module. That's probably not the right name for it, but something like that, that they used for this kind of thing instead. And so I need to check that out before we build out any of this, because this may not be necessary if some of this stuff can be done with that other module, but I got to see what it is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're going to need field title and field text. And the type is just text, yeah. No, I think I don't want behaviors because, so with layout paragraphs, some of your paragraphs can be containers, I think, for other paragraphs. Like if you want to have like a 2-column section, but then the 2-column section is like a paragraph. And I think that's what this is. We'll come back to it if I'm wrong, but I think I need to leave that unchecked because I don't want this to serve as like a layout container. All right, so I have a title and a text normally because I have an optional title on all my paragraphs because usually you may want a title for some section, but it's usually optional. So I'll just do like text plain, title, not required. And then we need formatted long text. And yeah, it's just called field text. One of them, this probably should be required. I mean, I don't think they can have a text block without text. I mean, maybe it would only have a title. Yeah, I'm going to make it required. Okay, so now we can go back to content types, manage fields, and let's see. For this one, I mean, I guess any paragraph type is probably allowed for right now. Maybe we'll have to only have the one. Let's go to the form display. This is where I think we tell it we want to use layout paragraphs. Yeah, so paragraphs classic, I can't remember what that even looks like because as far as I know, everyone that I've ever seen has used paragraphs experimental. It's been experimental for like years, 5 years, however long paragraphs have been around. So I don't know why it's still experimental, but just so we can see what that looks like as comparison in case some people have not used paragraphs before. So the interface to paragraphs usually looks like this. All of the fields are here. So you can configure it so that it starts with nothing. And then you like add text, or if you have different paragraph types, you can have like a drop down to say what kind of paragraph you want to add. You click add, then all the fields come in and you fill it out. And you can also sort of collapse it. Oh, it's going to make me fill something in. And you can collapse it and then sort of, if you want it to be smaller, so you can drag and reorder things around. The thing is, there's a lot of clicking because you either have to decide, do you want them all open like this, in which case the page gets going to be really long if the paragraphs are detailed, or you can make them all collapsed, but then people are like constantly clicking collapse, open, collapse, open. It's like tedious. So in general, content editors do not like that. That's been my experience with it. I mean, that said, I still force it on them because it is the best architecturally. It is the best thing so far, which is why I'm really excited about layout paragraphs, because if it just fixes the user interface and paragraphs underneath, paragraphs are still the same architecturally, which is why I think it's like perfect, because it fixes the user interface without breaking the architecture part. So let me go back and change that. Okay, so we'll switch to layout paragraphs. I think those settings are fine. So let's see what it looks like right now. Okay, so now the content area looks like this and has this little plus. And if I had more than one more than one paragraph type, then they would be listed here, like the ones that I said you could make here, they would be listed. There was also an option when I created the paragraph to have an icon for the paragraph type. I didn't have an icon handy, so I just skipped it. But if I had uploaded it, I think it would show up here. So you could have like, a little document looking thing that just says writing, and then you could have like a, something that looks like a picture for media or whatever. So if I click this, then it pops open here and I can, create my paragraph and save. And then it puts it in here. And now I can sort of add items above or below this. And it's a little maybe hard to tell right now because I only have this one type. And you can take these and you can drag them between, and there's edit trash. There's also like this kind of, recycle bin with sort of this disabled items section where if you want to keep something, but you don't want it to display, you can throw it down there. There is also, I thought there was a way, and maybe it's just that you have to edit in the front end theme. I thought there was a way you could actually see this or have this work on the front end theme, but maybe you just have to have your node editing configured to use the front end theme. We don't have a front end theme now, so it doesn't really make a difference. But okay. Now this does not really look exactly like what I want, because we can see we got a lot of field stuff here. So let's go over to manage display. Oh, maybe it's here. Hold on. So content maybe needs to be layout paragraphs. Maybe that's what lets me do it in the front end. I don't see it. I need to have like, what is the like, it's not in-place editing. I'm missing some contextual links. I didn't install contextual links when I first set this up. Do I need to have contextual links or something to turn it on? I'm not seeing any contextual links. All right, I may have to go back and watch that presentation again to see exactly what we have to do to get it to show up here. I thought there was, like I said, I thought there was a way in the front end that you could edit it directly here, but like I said, it may be that you just have to have this backend theme be the front end theme, and then it will show up correctly. Okay, so the only other thing, so this is still, so I got rid of the content label, but I don't want these other labels either. So that is going to be under the paragraph. Okay, so now I have that set up. Obviously, it doesn't look good. I'm going to defer on making it look good until I have a theme, to some sort of design. So we'll just leave it looking junky for now. The date is there. All right, so let me look back at my TSD. I'm going to wait on all these formatting options. Let's go back to the blog content type. So the only other thing here. Okay, so I said I was going to add meta tags on here. And I also have this migration ID that if we use the Drupal's migrate system, I mean, it does keep track of that ID when you migrate content from one system to another. I thought it might be useful to also just keep track of that myself as well, in case I needed to write some custom code. I'm sure there's some way I could try to pull that out of the migration system, but I don't know what that way is. So it might be easier to just keep this number around. It won't always be a node ID. Some things might be moving. Some things are moving from like a custom entity to a node and things as we do this project. So that migration ID will be different depending on where it was coming from. So let's just add those in. So let's see. Let's go back to the content types blog. Yes, I see that YouTube spam. Sorry, I don't have the actual YouTube page up, so I can't ban. I mean, I'll ban them afterwards. I don't have easy access to do it from here, I don't think. Yeah, I can't do anything from my software, and I don't have the YouTube thing up at the moment. Okay, so let's start by adding an integer field for the migration ID. It's not going to be required. Okay, so now it's there. We could group this into, there is a way, I think you have to install field group module, which I should probably do anyway. But to get it to group over into this area, I guess I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to stick with Claro just now, so I'm not necessarily going to do that at the moment. But there is a way, I think, if you have field group module, that you can move things over here. So the next thing is meta tags. Let's go ahead and, with the amount of time we have left, I'm probably go to 4:30 here. So I think we have just enough time to install meta tags. So why don't we do that? So, because most of the content types are going to need that. Composer require Drupal meta tags. Ugh, I make this mistake every time. I think it's meta tag. But I want to make sure, because actually there were two at one point or something, I think, or they changed it. I think it used to be one of them and then they changed it or something. So okay. So meta tag definitely has a bunch of submodules. So let me just look at them here. Okay, so we need meta tag. I don't need extended permissions. It's mainly me editing the site. I don't have apps. I mean, the Facebook thing might be useful. Support for many different. Oh, this is probably for like favicons for like pinning it to your mobile screen or whatever. So I'll put that on. I don't have one of those. Google Plus. That doesn't exist anymore. Probably can remove that from this module. Oh, probably they can't remove it because like people got it enabled. Okay, I don't have different languages. I think that's fine. Oh, why is there Facebook and... Oh, maybe I don't need Facebook. Isn't Facebook Open Graph? I think the Open Graph ones is all I need. Facebook maybe is if you have like a Facebook page or something. I don't know. Well, I guess we can click it and see. Open Graph products. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I do have products, kind of, courses, maybe. And Twitter card, sure. Verification could be useful. Views. Okay. Okay, so, and just if I see your question, let me come back to it here in just a minute. All right, so we got that installed. Now I think the way you're supposed to do this now is you add a meta tag, this type. I've only done this a couple of times since they switched it for Drupal 8. Yeah, these are the defaults. We can leave these for now. I think if you want it, but if I go edit this, it probably doesn't show up, right? Yeah, I think I have to add a meta tags field to this content type. Okay, and form display, advanced meta tags form, use the sidebar. Yes, that looks good. Let's click edit and see. Okay, so now the meta tag stuff is here. So whenever we create a new content type, we just have to make sure to add a meta tags type field, and then it'll be there. And then of course, at some point, I need to set these defaults. I'll wait till that's more like a late level pre-launch kind of thing, potentially, unless some of them can be automated. What's under Facebook? Yeah, this is for like Facebook pages and stuff. We probably don't need that. Okay. Yeah, I probably don't need site verification on every page. I don't know why. Is that something I can configure in here? Well, I can configure its value, but I don't see any place where I would just tell it like, don't put this there. Oh, well. Maybe that's why you need the permissions one. Oh, wait, maybe hold on, the settings. Nope, that's not it either. So maybe that's why you need permissions to hide the ones that you don't want. Okay, so we got that. So yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to sort of do like a little wrap up here. Because I'm finished up with the development session, what I should do is do a Drush config export. And because we installed a bunch of new modules and we created a paragraph type and a content type, we're going to have a lot of and meta tag settings and everything are all in here. So that all needs to come out and be exported. Now I'm going to check this into a Git repository. I have not set it up yet. This was, yeah, here's Joseph's question. So how granular do you get with it? How would you normally commit each module and configure export as they are added? I wouldn't but I wouldn't on this project. Let's put it that way. Because I'm the main developer of it. Even if it was a couple of people, I probably wouldn't. But in a larger project, then I definitely could see where you would want to be more granular in case you needed to roll back some change. It kind of depends on your development model. I mean, so I recently worked on a very large project that had a lot of developers, and they were like, you could work on your stuff however you wanted, but you had to eventually like compress everything down to like a single commit because they were sort of cherry picking, like this commit fixes this issue. They were sort of cherry picking specific commits into their main branch. That was the way they were deploying. And so that was really different than I had done before. I don't know that that's a good practice, but that's what they were doing. So I think it depends on how likely are you to try to pull something out. I mean, it's not like you can roll back just in bringing the module in if all these other commits are there after it. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I think it depends on your, what you would consider granular functionality in any case. So like installing a module and configuring it certainly to me seems like a granular choice. But then obviously in the future we may reconfigure that module, and then that might be, and certainly if it's an issue, like an issue comes up and I gotta fix it, this is the fix, then I think that would be like mostly one thing. Because I mean that would be like a squash commit, right? That's kind of like that. So when it finally got merged, so I don't know. I don't see like a lot of reason to pick it apart. I mean, if I'm working on a site like this where I'm doing it myself, I'm probably not committing unless it's specific issues where I need to be able to deploy those fixes or merge those fixes separately. I would probably just like work through this whole day and then do it, because I'm not going to roll back any of these things. These things, this project's going to just keep moving forward, and maybe things will get undone, but I'm not going to pick it apart on this. But that's because it is just a site I'm building by myself. So I think it's got to be situational. Okay, so, all right, so we got this now. Let's get a init. And I don't think it puts a, yeah, the standard Drupal thing doesn't put a good git ignore in here. Oh, wait. I just figured out why the Drush CEX didn't work. CSEX. Because I'm not using the right version of Drush. I never installed Drush. Okay, we're going to do that real quick just to see if that's what it is. Okay, because Drush lives in this, it lives in the project, and we installed from the standard Drupal Composer project, not the like, there is another one that's on GitHub that's got like Drush built in, but that's not what we used. We used the official Drupal one. So we have to Composer require Drush. And now, may need to clear caches. Yeah, now it's there. Okay, so let's roll back to what I was doing in the config split. Let's see if we can just, before we commit anything, let's get reset. Before we commit anything, let's see if we can fix this. So we have the config split. It's called dev. So that should be Drush CEX dev. No. Oh, maybe it doesn't have a. Oh, maybe they got rid of the. It looks like they got rid of the alias. Maybe it was too controversial. Okay, so it's config split export. It used to be CSEX, but Okay, so now that's exported. So did it work? Let's look under the splits. Yeah, so if you see under the splits now, just the Devel settings are here, as well as Devel toolbar and the system, the Devel menu has been put into the split. So now I think I need to do the regular config export again, right? Because it needs to delete those from the main sync directory because they're now just part of this split. And also core extension is updating because its core extension in the main one is not going to enable Devel or Devel Kint extras, that other, we checked 2 of them. Okay. So yeah, so now that is set up correctly. All right, so now we can, we need to create a gitignore file. Okay, and we don't want vendor. Actually, I may need to look at another project real quick just to make sure I do everything correctly, because I don't want to end up with stuff in there I don't want and then have to pull it out. So I don't want to miss anything. So in another window here, I'm going to open up my current DrupalTutor project and just look at what my gitignore says in there. Because it's also composer based, so I think that the layouts of everything should be the same. Okay, so this is what I'm using in my other project. Actually, I think this one can probably come back on. So I don't remember where I got this from. Probably this, I think actually this may have come from the other Drupal composer template that's out there. Oh, there's some weird stuff in here. I don't know why I have local. That must have been a workaround for something. Okay, so I usually like to commit my settings PHP file. So I'll comment that. That's why that's commented out. So I usually like to commit my settings PHP file and not my settings local file. That's personal choice. Other people say don't do that. But that means we need to move. I mean, we could leave this in there because we would just override it in production. But I'll move it here to settings local. Let's see, is there anything else in here? I think everything else can stay in here for now. I usually like to do it that way because sometimes there are things in settings PHP that you want to run on all systems. Like maybe I have some code in there that can also look for an environment or do something, and so sometimes I occasionally that comes up. So I like to commit that and then put all the credentials and whatnot in local. Okay, don't leave out the files directory. Leave out simple test. I don't know a lot about that. Like I said, that must have come from the template. And then other stuff. Now the editor config, I don't know. Editor config is part of this project, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like that should be there. I don't know why I'm not committing that. I don't know what's in Git attributes. This is what tells me like blank space. That also seems like it should be in there, shouldn't it? It seems like I shouldn't ignore this. Let's add that and see what we get here. Oh, why is it talking about vendor? Whoa. Vendor is definitely... Vendor's definitely excluded. Why is it adding vendor? It's basically ignoring. Did I spell it wrong or something? Oh, I put it in the wrong spot. That's why. Okay, needs to be at the top level. I accidentally put it in the web folder. Okay, should work now. Okay, so this looks better. Yeah, because we haven't really done anything. So it's just basically the configuration files for the most part. And yeah, Composer JSON and stuff is in there, right? Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll stop there. I mean, I need to set up a remote repository somewhere to push that to. I'll do that right after the session. But yeah, I think this is a good place to stop for now. I think next week we will we'll pick up at the beginning, continuing on creating some of these content types and paragraph types. I may also have a template picked out by then, a theme. If I do, then we can also potentially start on the theme. If you are looking, if you get the emails every week, and again, I can remember if you don't get the emails, sign up at DrupalTutor Live. Then I will send out an email like on Monday or something to tell you what I plan to be doing during the session, but it should be next Wednesday at 3 p.m. unless I tell you otherwise on the email. Yeah. So I think this was a good first session, and we'll do it again next week. Thanks everybody for joining.